Okay, so here we are at the end of chapter two. Well, at least the back part of chapter two, and we have this nice little section in here called Introduction to Turtle Graphics. So this is the Python Turtle Graphics system, and we get to play around with it. So you'll see this at the back of some of the other chapters too, and we'll get to mess around with it. It's kind of a fun way to use this little graphic system to showcase what you've been learning, some of the commands that you've seen, and all that kind of good stuff. So how does this work? The turtle graphic system, this is our turtle. It's a cursor. And you'll see this on the screen here in a second. I'll show you some examples and we'll do some of this live. But basically, you have a nice little platform to draw things. So you're going to use Python code. You're going to write your own statements to move this turtle around the screen. And you can see draw lines, shapes, point it to where you might want to have some text typed out, all sorts of good things. It's actually a lot of fun to play with. It's pretty addicting. Okay, so I know I'm kind of a geek, but you'll see once you start playing with this, you get the hang of it. It's pretty fun, and it doesn't take very long, and all of a sudden you've run through a hundred lines of code and you're just rolling right along drawing things and having a good old time. So I'll just say that. All right, so why is this called a turtle? Well, to give you an example of this, I threw a few pictures together on the next slide. And in fact, let me go through the slideshow view real quick, and you can kind of see some of them here. As we kind of step through, you'll see this turtle, just the shape of it, obviously affectionately called a turtle, and you can see sort of down here what it's doing. And so it's drawing shapes, and so you'll see down here there's a marker, and you would set this thing up, program it so that it would draw little shapes around. And you'll see, this is a shot in the MIT AI lab back from 1970. In fact, there's a video. So if you click, I'm going to drop out of here and just go over to this video, and you can kind of see this whole thing as it moves around. Affectionately called a turtle. I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit. See how it's moving around while it's turning right now, but and then it will then drive. See it on its way. Okay, so this is obviously a very old turtle, a very old video. So, but anyway, this is why we call it a turtle, and so it sticks. Let me pause this little baby here. Get rid of this, and we'll go back over here. And so we'll get to play with this, and it works, in a similar manner. So you tell it to go, forward. You tell it to turn, all that kind of good stuff, and it will draw for you. So it makes it really cool, really fun to play with. So how are we going to use this? Well, we can't use Python Tutor for this, so we are going to use REPL. And so REPL.it, you see the slide. Hopefully you watched the video on REPL and you're familiar with it and you already have an account. If not, pause this video, go and watch that one very quickly so that you have an idea of what to do in REPL, at least have an account and you're ready to go. All right, so I'm going to assume that you've done that moving forward here. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at Turtle Graphics. And one of the first things that we get to see here is that we are going to import something. And this is really, I think, the first time that we've done this. We have in our core code, we have in the in the Python main code, we have all sorts of things built in. So we have, different functions built in like print, all that kind of good stuff. But there are other things called modules or libraries that you will use that aren't loaded in automatically unless you tell it to load them in. Okay, so we don't want absolutely everything loaded in. We don't want to bog things down. We want things, our code to be as efficient as possible. So if we're not using Turtle, there's no reason to have it, in the background. It's not no reason to load it each time and all that kind of good stuff. So the way we do this is, and it's simply called, this one is called Turtle. Eventually we'll create our own modules or libraries and we'll import them too. That's later in the semester. But what we're going to do now is we're going to say, oh, simple keyword here, import, and then turtle is what it's called, and that is our statement. And when we've done that, then what that will let us do is use some of the commands that are built in here. So in the actual module library, I say library, I think our book says module, so same concept, same idea there. But here's the way this works. Oh, and by the way, this is just to mimic the prompts in there. You don't type those out. But if we're at the cursor, and you'll see here in a second, I'll run this out. We say import turtle. There we go. Now we have the turtle commands. Now notice the way this works. Now we're going to start. This is a built-in forward is built in. And so, but I have to tell it like where it's going to come from, so which library it's going to come from. So I'm going to say turtle dot, and then forward is my my command here, and then in parentheses, this forward function I have to define where it's going to go. So the argument I'm passing in here is 100, so it's going to move forward 100 pixels. Okay, so that's the way this works. So go ahead and go into um, REPL.com, open this up, and play with this as we walk along in the video, so you can kind of see it work at the same time. Okay, so I'm gonna wait just a second, pause the video if you want, and go ahead and open a browser window, get logged into REPL.it, and I'll show you how to get to Python Turtle. So we'll do that. We'll do that next. So when you get to your browser, you're at REPL.it. You're going to go ahead and click on this blue plus or however you'd like to get to create a new REPL. And here we go. So language. If you start typing in Python, you should have seen this in the video already, the previous video. But normally we'd use this Python, but now if we're using Turtle, we must use this one. Okay, and so I'm going to do that, and I'm going to say, I don't know, Turtle demo, whatever. Okay, and say create. And here we go. And you'll notice a little difference with this is that our console window now over here on the right hand side of the screen, here we have this piece down here, but notice we have this white background over here. This is our drawing piece, okay, over here. So this is where our turtle will do all of its drawing. So if I'm typing in this code, in fact, what we just saw a second ago, so import turtle, okay, so I'll skip a space just because. And then if I want to go ahead and say, what was the thing I said a second ago? Turtle.forward, and I think I said 100. Okay, and pixels are very small, so 100 gives us a nice, a little line. But if you just said 1, it's not going to do a whole lot. You won't necessarily be able to see it unless you really have this blown up. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm going to click run. And you'll see, boom, there's my turtle in there, started here, simply moved over 100, okay, and there we go, and it's got my piece right there, okay. So we'll be able to play around with this. Let's say we wanted to change directions, okay, so we can do that. So on the next slide, you'll see, here's the way that we're going to set this up. Now you saw 0 degrees, we're heading east, so that's why it went straight to the right. But if we want to change that angle, then we can use another command in here. So we're going to use another piece. So we've got turtle dot. We're going to say right. Okay, and in this particular built-in function for turtle, we're going to go ahead and in this in the parentheses here, we're going to say what kind of angle that we want it to turn to the right or to the left. So we could do either. Okay, so if I come back in here and I want this thing to turn, so I'm going to say turtle dot right, and I'll say, I don't know, 45 for 45 degrees. Okay, so and then I want to go ahead and do turtle dot forward again, and I'm going to say 100. So now when this draws out, click run again. Here we go. So it comes out here, forward 100. That was line 3. Line 4 says I want you to turn 45 degrees to the right. And line 5 says go forward 100 again. Okay, and we could do the same thing if we wanted this to now turn back to the left. So we could say left right here, same idea. And this time I'll say, I don't know, 90 degrees, something different. And then I can do this again. So turtle forward. And you can see, obviously, copy and paste might work well for some of this stuff. So anyway, so I'm going to hit run right here. We have all sorts of weird, funky 45 down there. We turn to left this time up 90 degrees. So that's why we get that little square right there, right? And then forward again 100. So there's lots of ways of setting up how these things can work. And this is just one way. Again, we'll look at some other ways later. But for now, this will get you started. Okay, so let's go ahead and say that we wanted to start doing this. And this looks like maybe we're drawing in, maybe we're going to draw a square. Okay, so started this out. So import turtle. Turtle forward 100. We went left 90 degrees right here. So the turtle literally shifts and points up. And then we went forward again. So if we didn't have this line right here, turtle.forward 100 here, it's going to simply come out here. It's going to go forward 100. It will turn left. You'll see it actually physically turn, but it won't go forward again. So if you didn't have that line. So little things to play with. Same kind of thing with this. Actually, I just did this one. So I went forward to the right 45 degrees and then forward again. Okay. So see if on this next one, you can draw this shape. Okay, so this one's going to be a little bit different. I mean, obviously this first little bit is a little tricky, okay, or not tricky at all, I guess. But we just did something similar to this, right? This part's the tricky part, okay? So trying to figure out what the angle is to get down to here and how long this line should be. Don't worry about how the cursor is aimed. We don't care about that. But you're just trying to draw this in. So I'm going to pause the video and see if you can play with this and get this to work. See if you can get this drawing, and then come back to the video. Okay, did you pause the video and give it a shot? Hopefully you did, and maybe got lucky, figured it out right away. If not, sometimes it takes a little playing around with it, using this style. You'll see in the next video we go into a more precise way of doing this. But for now, let's take a look at this one, and this is the way that I set this up. So forward, left 90, forward again, and then I went left 135 and forward 142. And I was just playing around trying to get it to be as close as possible. So let's go ahead and run that. And you'll see kind of the way that works there. All right, so drew that in there. And then I cheated. I used the command you haven't seen yet. But just to get rid of the cursor, I used turtle.hideTurtle. And then if you wanted to bring it back, you could use turtle.showTurtle, and it will bring it back. Okay, so I just did that so I could see. I wanted to hide it so I could see exactly where the line was ending, and 142 was kind of about the closest I could get. I mean, 141, 143 are pretty close too, but anyway, I decided on that. So anyway, so hopefully you got the hang of this now. In the next video, we'll look at a more precise way of doing this. But for now, this gives you a way to play with it and mess around with these commands. So hopefully, kind of getting the hang of it. We're going to use one more thing in this little piece, and then we'll be done with this one. So the one other thing that I wanted to show you was this one for this video, and that is set heading. So the set heading piece is nice because it lets you pick the angle and you don't have to figure out where you're at. So one of the things that you run into if you're doing things like this is, okay, I turned right 45 degrees, but now I want to go back a certain degree this way, and where exactly am I? How, where's the cursor aimed? All that kind of good stuff, and you got to kind of figure it out. It's a pain. So if you use set heading, then no matter where you are, it will go in that direction. So this is the shape that you would get with this. So we went forward 50. Remember, it starts here and goes straight east. So we're going to say forward 50. That's this line. And then set heading 90 just means I want you to aim at a 90-degree angle and go straight up. And then we turned it to 180 to go across here, 270 down, and that was the end of that little rectangle. Okay, so set heading is a nice little tool to be able to use too. Okay, so we have I have a part two video for you where we'll get into more detail with this stuff, but hopefully you're sort of getting the hang of it, at least being able to play with it a little bit, along the way. And don't forget, our author Tony Gaddis also has a pretty lengthy video down at the bottom of the module where he goes through turtle graphics as well. Okay, so we're done with this one. Go ahead, and if you're feeling like this is something that you're comfortable with, great. We're gonna go on to some other things in video two, so you can go ahead and go check that one out.